Good morning, everybody. Glad you could join me. My name is Joseph Trujillo, and I'm out of Denver, Colorado. You've probably seen my wife on here a few times. Her name is Annette Trujillo, and we're out of Denver, Colorado. Hope you guys are having a great morning. It is the first day that we've had here where the sun's a little bit shining and it's starting to calm down. We've had some high winds, so wherever you're at, just be safe and make sure you're enjoying your day. It's a beautiful day today. Uh, I wanted to actually have a conversation and talk a little bit about health and the journey of getting on that path. I know a lot of people have had questions in the past. I know that I personally have went through my own journey of trying to find the balance of health and wealth. And in that discovery, there's been a lot of soul searching, and there's been a lot of um, identifying and knowing who we are, right? Understanding our bodies, understanding that we are created in God's image, and that we are unique and different. And so I wanted to kind of backpedal first and give you a little history of where this all kind of started and how it developed. Um, I was involved in a accident where I had a head injury, and that put me at about 42% total disability from the doctors when I was done going through therapy and things like that. I had to learn how to walk, or not really walk, but I had to learn how to talk again and use motor skills and recreate my neural pathways for my mind of remembering things. It was a journey, and in this journey, what one thing that I really wanted to focus on is figure out how I can get myself out of this disability category, because they were telling me that I should, apply for disability and prepare for the worst. Really look at the things that I accept, the things that I've lost, right? Knowing that I may not be the same that I was before, and just really learning that doctors are very helpful and supportive. That's what their role is. That's what they go to school for. But we have a physician that goes above and beyond anything that we can ever express, and that physician is our Father, and that Father is loving and complete and whole and abundant and joyful. And when we look at our Father in that perspective, which I didn't know then, I had a perception or a perspective of religion. And so anybody that is on this morning, I want to make sure that you understand something very clearly. Uh, Religion can be many things. Religion can be uh, uh, you can be religious about a diet. You can be religious about um, working out. You can be religious about like what's going on today with the eclipse and different things. And we know there's different categories of religion as well. But understanding that religion is also a way for uh, our society to categorize us, to place us in a category, and that was something that I was unsure of. I didn't understand. I knew who God was, but I didn't have the love of God in my life. I didn't have the full understanding of the kingdom of God and the power and the authority that we have. And so my search for God during this process of healing and restoration, and having my wife literally at times help spoon feed me and get me on this journey to recovery. She knew who God was, and she had a good relationship with the Holy Spirit, and I got connected with my best friend, my wife, and started going to a church, and had gained an understanding of who God was, but I knew that there was something more. I seen what was being offered at the church, and it was exciting, and I liked it, but I really knew there was something more. And in that journey of discovering, I realized that knowing God and knowing who we are is the light that turns on the light switch that turns on the light. It's something that we realize, wow, God is all these things, and we are all these things. And learning that for me was part of a big process of self-identification, understanding my purpose, knowing that God had a greater plan than just me sitting down in a sanctuary at a church and listening to some person speak. Now, I'm not knocking if that's what somebody's piece is, right? My piece and my family's piece through this journey has been a discovery of knowing that right now we're doing church, right now in the moment we are worshiping. This is not something that has to be confined into a building, but part of knowing that big picture is also us understanding who we are. A lot of people, when they jump into health and wellness, they go for the trend. They jump toward the trend and they work toward something that they've heard is successful or is happening. Through the years, we've went through, I don't know how many different trends. I know some people went on a South Beach diet, and some people have done the Mediterranean diet, and some people have done the keto diet. All the things that we've heard of, that we've gotten great responses from people. Oh, I've lost 15 pounds and, I feel great. And those are fantastic. But always remember this, and it's very important that we start chopping at this so that you feel confident when you get off today, and in the directions that you decide that you want to move in are solid directions, and you don't feel influenced. You don't feel like an obligation has to take place. This is about discovering you, discovering your identity, knowing who you are, knowing who God created you to be, and moving in a direction that is bringing fulfillment and bringing joy and bringing happiness and peace and love and all those great things that come with living in this world, and identifying that first and foremost, you've got to love you. And that is probably the number one thing I've always told anybody that's came to me. They've asked about getting fit or working toward, a lot of times we come to a place of wanting to learn about health and wellness when we're faced with an opposition, right? We hear of a doctor's report that says, well, you have pre-diabetes, or you seem like you're getting early stages of cancer or dementia or any of the things that we identify as sickness. And once we hear those terms and words, that's when we become serious about wanting to make changes, and that's okay. But I'm here today to try and tell you there's a lot more effective and productive way of approaching health and wellness. It doesn't require us to have to wait until we get a bad report, because if you're awake and you're living and you're watching this morning, God has brought you here, and he's celebrating you, and he loves you, and he wants you to be excited, and he wants you to live life to the fullest. And so I will start off very simple. If at any time, if somebody's taking notes and you take a minute to catch up, just do me a favor and pop into the chat. Let me know that give me 1 second, or hold on, or, whatever you need to do to let me know that you're taking some notes down. I will slow down, because this isn't about how much information I can give to you. It's about the quality of information that I want to help you out with. And so I want to start off by just making sure that that this is about baby steps, right? We're taking small steps, and we're moving toward a direction of fulfillment. We're moving toward a direction. And for me, the best way I can explain it to you is I am wanting to take you by the hand and lead you in a direction that places you in the realm of God's kingdom here on earth. And that's exactly what it is. That term is not a religious term. And we've even gotten to a place where some of those kingdom concepts have become religious. And I don't want this to be that. I want you to understand that the kingdom of heaven is now. That means it is active. It is growing. It is accelerating. It is expanding by the second. You may not see it. We don't have to see it. It's happening. And so in that small time frame of knowing that you're here, I'm here, we're here to learn and grow in God's kingdom realm, and we are to live with longevity. We are to live a long, healthy life. The stereotypes of, well, most people live to 82 or 84. I always tell my wife, and we joke, we're planning on living past 100 because we enjoy life. We love our life together. We love experimenting and exploring this amazing world that God gave to us and created for us. And we are living in the realms of God's kingdom as we speak. And I'm excited to share with you. And so get your notepad, pens, pencils, whatever you need to do. Grab your tea or your coffee for me. And let's jump in, and we'll tackle some of these a little at a time, okay? The very first thing I want to share with you this morning is a small statement, okay? A very small statement that has a lot of depth. And that statement is this: our thoughts change the structure of matter. Thoughts change the structure of matter, okay? That is a very, seems like, wow, that's kind of a deep term. It's a very simple term, right? Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. That is what we're talking about. When we have faith in something, it's not always there physically, but it's there in the spirit realm. It's there spiritually. And this is that statement again. Thoughts change the structure of matter. When we approach health and wellness, our very first thing that we need to address is our identity, knowing who we are, okay? Knowing that God created us for a purpose and a reason, and the history that got us to this place may not have always been productive. It may not always been good things, right? I shared with you earlier about the head injury that I had and the journey that it took me to get back to a place of restoration. God doesn't plan for those things to happen. They're circumstantial things. And we've all gone through circumstantial things in our life that may have been setbacks. They may have caused traumas in our life. What's important is you're here now, and that God has given us an ability to self-heal. I know you may not believe that or not, but we are superhumans. We are superhumans. That is, to me, that's super exciting. I watch the Avengers with my grandkids, and I see the different superheroes, and I always tell him, we're those people. We just don't have to wear the costume. We are superhuman, because when God created us, he put so much into us. He even used the ground or the earth that he made for us. So we are directly connected to the earth. We have a direct connection to the earth. And that is why in that direct connection, we've also been wired with the ability to self-heal. Fantastic, right? It's to me, it's so exciting. It's springtime right now, and in Colorado, we're starting to get dandelions coming up. While other people everywhere are buying chemicals and getting ready to start spraying their grass and killing the dandelions, I'm letting them come to their fullest beautiful form. And I go out, my wife and I, and we start pulling some of the flowers of the dandelion, because dandelion is a great detox to the body. And so you can make it as a tea, you can make it and add it to your salad. Super amazing. But it's amazing when you think about how God has wired us and healed us with the very same ingredients. Okay. Remember at the beginning in Genesis that when God was creating man, he took the dust from the earth. though that dust in itself, and this will be something different that I'll share with you, but that dust in itself had the minerals and all the ingredients that we needed that keeps our body feeling healthy and feeling alive, those minerals that are in our dirt and soil. And then he did something very specific. He did something very direct. He breathed his breath. He put his breath of life into our breath of life, and he brought us into a being. And that is a reminder to us. Sometimes we forget about it, right? We think, well, I know, but we still have sickness and we still have all these things. But when we take health and wealth and we start with a foundation is always God. God is our foundation, and understanding that God created you and I unique, right? Even identical twins are simply identified by their fingerprint. God made it so amazing that he's like, don't worry, people may not know. I know, because I know their fingerprint, and it's different, and they're very different from one another, and nobody can have the same. And so that shows how important you are, how special you are to God, that he created something, a way to identify you that makes you unique and makes you different, and it separates you from anybody else in this whole world. So remember, thoughts change the structure of matter. Now, why am I talking about thoughts? Because a lot of times when we start our journey of health and wellness, the first thing that we do, that we are the best at being our own worst critic, right? We talk about what we don't like about ourselves, how much weight we have, how our body shape looks, how our face image looks. I wish I had facial hair. I wish I had no hair. I wish I had blonde hair. I wish I had, dark hair. All the different things that we think about, we have to come back and bring it back into a realization of understanding God created you unique and different. You are who you are by God's intent. Okay, his thought of you when he created, his thought was so specific and detailed. He made you different from everybody else in the world. That's an amazing thing to me. That is a super phenomenal, just a blessing to know, like, hey, God made me different and unique. And you may not like you, but you have to learn to love who you are, because you are an original person. Okay, so the thoughts change the structure of matter, which means this: where you want to see yourself at starts off by accepting who you are and how God made you. Okay. Now we can get into a lot of different layers here with past hurts and pains and abuse and different things like that. But we're going to start at the surface, and we're going to kind of start going a little bit deeper as we move forward, because it's super important for you to first know and love yourself. That is the single most important factor. You've got to learn to love you. And when you discover that love for yourself, that's when you become influential in the world. That's when you become a world changer. I know that we oftentimes compare ourselves to other people. Well, I wish I looked like this, or I wish I had that type of body. And there's nothing wrong with admiring what another person looks like, but changes come by your ability to love you. Changes come by your ability to love you. And that's in any area of your life, right? I've known people that have went to the gym and have worked out very dedicated and still struggle with self-love. They have a great physique. They work out 6 days a week, but something up here tells them that they're still not at the place where they feel happy with themselves. And so our first obstacle is knowing that you've got to love you. Okay. It's super, super important. Then you've got to believe, right? Thoughts change the structure of matter. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. You've got to look past the layers of the way you critique yourself. There's nothing wrong with critiquing yourself, but when you start to degrade yourself, you're degrading God. You're a child of God, and God made you a specific way. And when you're not showing appreciation and gratitude to God's creation, it makes the struggle 10 times as hard. So you've got to understand there's something that we need to activate, and that is faith. That is believing the things that we don't see. Maybe you don't have the body type that you want right now, and that's okay. You've got to believe that there's some place inside that's going to find that niche that'll make you feel happy and joyful about who you are. There's always something that we can complain about. There's always something that we can look for as improvement, and there's nothing wrong with always trying to improve. But in the lifestyle of living with health and wealth, you've got to find the inner peace here. This is where it starts, in the mind. You've got to take a minute, get connected with God, and ask God to remind you of his creation of you. And it's you'd be amazed how responsive God is, because he's so loving and so supportive of our success. He wants us to succeed. God wants you to succeed. So that little thing called faith is something that is talked about throughout the Bible, and we hear about it, we read it in the scriptures, but we don't always practice it. And that's something that we've got to work on, okay? Having a healthy body all starts by creating a healthy mind space. I'm going to say that again, okay? Having a healthy body all starts by creating a healthy mind space. You've got to clear the clutter. That's what I always say. Clear the clutter. Don't focus on what has been, what's been in your past, what you're currently dealing with. You have to start with right now, right here and right now, and clear the mind space. Okay. Whatever that looks like, if that is something that you need to create a pattern for, wake up, pray, read your word, whatever that mind space is that helps you feel confident, feel loved, feel embraced, do that. Because having a clear mind space is what also is the next step for our journey in health and wellness. I can give you all the macro and micros that you should eat and shouldn't eat, and I can tell you the list of fruits and vegetables and all the different spices and things that we can eat that will help us. But if your mind space is still uneasy, your body won't absorb what it needs to. That's how important it is for us to get our mind in a right place first. Because once our mind is in a right place, when we eat those proteins or we eat those vegetables with high vitamins and minerals, then they can absorb properly. Okay. When we're just going on what I refer to as fight or flight, and that's basically a survival mode. You're in survival mode. Your body takes only what it needs to keep surviving. And that's where we start running into problems and obstacles, right? And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So a negative mind space leads to stress, right? We know that. If you're always negative, that leads to stress. Stress, when not controlled, leads to inflammation. Now, inflammation is what we know of, or what we can refer to now as pre-disease. Inflammation happens in our body when it's being attacked in certain areas, and we've got to figure out, how do we get the inflammation down, right? How do we combat inflammation? Inflammation is important because, again, as awesome as that is, it's God's warning sign to us that something is wrong, something is off in our body. So when we start experiencing inflammation, I'll give you the best example. When you've had an injury, maybe you were outside and you twisted your ankle, and you go to the doctor and he says, well, nothing's broke, but you have a lot of inflammation. That's because when you injured your ankle, there was something that took place in your body that the communication to your mind said, hey, something happened to my ankle and it doesn't feel right. So your body shoots chemicals down into your ankle to try to support and protect anything that's not functioning properly. That's how amazing God is. That is phenomenal to me, to know that God put something and wired us in a way that we get our own signals. And this is something that I love to tell people and share with people, because everything that we experience, every sickness that we come across or we combat, there is a way to undo that. And I'm a firm believer of that. Every person, listen to what I'm saying, every person has the ability to provide that healing. So you can provide your healing to your body. We don't need to go to a person to get healing from. Now it's helpful to have support, because we feel supported in anything that we do, in everything, right? We can feel supported when our young kids go and play games. They feel supported when they have loved ones that show up. But I'm telling you, God wired us that we have the ability to heal ourselves. That's what we have his DNA in us. So with that DNA, we have God DNA that tells our body we need to heal it. We need to get it better. And that's fantastic. Our eating and thinking are so intertwined together. So we have to remember this. Our eating and thinking are so intertwined that our thoughts before, during, and after we eat will have a direct impact on the 75 to 100 trillion cells in your body, including your digestive system. Okay. So how we think before, during, and after we eat does have a direct effect on how our body's cells react, including our digestive tract. Because what we tend to do, and we do have some people that do this regularly, when you are emotional, you eat, right? If I'm nervous, I eat. If I'm depressed, I eat. Now, what we eat is what we're discussing right now. We're talking about when you're stressed. Stress happens. I can't tell people, hey, there's a way that we can live stress-free, but we can learn to manage our stress and have the ability to control the time frame, right? We have things that happen in our life all the time that trigger our stress factors in our body, and unforeseen events, accidents, whatever. But a lot of us, without realizing it, we live in a fight or flight mentality all day long, every day, because we're dealing with so much. There's so much happening up here. We've not given God an opportunity to help us process it, because we stay focused on those things. See, it's a lot of times people feel like they can't get healthy because they've had all these things that have happened, or they're dealing with weight issues or high blood pressure or different things like that. But remembering who you are, remembering that you are in control of your body, and knowing that just reducing levels of stress, simple things, reducing levels of stress are key factors in allowing your body to start getting on track. What I always tell people when making a change to wanting to live a healthier lifestyle, my number one thing I always tell people is pay attention and listen to your body. When you listen to your body will tell you what you need and what you don't need. Your body will literally give you alerts. I think sometimes we get so caught up in just living life, being on our cell phones, watching TV, that we've blocked out everything that our body is wired to do. We've shut off the sounds. And so when you start moving into a direction of wanting to live a healthy lifestyle, I encourage everybody, the very first thing that you do is listen to your body. It will tell you what it wants or what it needs. It's how we are wired. And this is the second thing I want to make sure that everybody understands. Do not compare yourself. Don't compare yourself to somebody else. You are different than everybody in the world, and your body reacts differently. What one person will use as I feel great when I drink green tea, right? I feel fantastic. I love green tea. It makes me feel great. It makes me feel energized. Another person can take green tea and drink it, and they can get anxiety. They can get heart palpitations. So it's not something that I always tell people. When you're trying to pursue a natural health and wealth lifestyle, you have to listen to the body. Your body will tell you what you need. And so what we come across frequently is just focusing so much on what's going on around us and not what's going on within us. And I'm going to say that again. So many times we focus on what's going on around us and not what's going on within us. Remember, again, as a reminder, your body, there is only one. Okay. This is the body that God has given to us. You have yours, I have mine. And how we take care of it, how we care for it, nurture it, support it, all those factors determine the longevity of our lifestyle. We have families around the world that are in a crucial place of needing the understanding, right? And differences between what they hear is right to eat and what they know is right to eat. And there's a big difference when I'm referencing this, because again, going back to what I said earlier about diet trends, diets were never intended for people to stay on. I'm going to say that again. Diets were never intended for people to stay on. Diets are ways to retract, get our bodies back onto a track of living healthy. They were never intended for us to stay there. And a lot of people have used those and they've failed in diets because they've tried different ones and they're not getting results. And knowing that diets for us are guides. That's, if I can say that, diets are guides that help people get them back onto a track of health and wellness. Never meant to stay on, just so you guys are aware of that. And yet we have about a billion people around the world that are hungry. And yet I think the statistics said almost 2 billion people are overweight. So we're looking through a lens of seeing there's an imbalance, right? There's an imbalance around the world. I want to just give a few things to help us gain a tract for today. And then I want to kind of let what we spoke about just absorb. That's, to me, a lot of times we give so much information out and people only will retain about 10% of that or even apply less. I love to take things slow. And so what I want to do is help people understand it's not that difficult to make changes in their life that will create longevity. And they're not expensive changes. Okay. We know the difference that, there are fruits that are made with chemicals in a lab and there are organic fruits. Now, when you're on a budget and you're going to a store and you don't have the money to invest in organic fruits, for those of us that don't live in a great climate that we can produce fruit year round, we have to get our fruit imported in to Colorado, and that costs a little bit more. But I encourage you to take the time and evaluate the budget, because you will either pay money to stay on medications and go to doctor visits, or you will pay the money to begin to create preventative practices so that you can live a long and healthy life. It is something that when you realize that and you put it into a perspective of understanding, I don't want to be dependent on doctors and prescriptions my whole life. I want to start making healthy choices. Those small differences make miles of progress for you. So I want to start real quick in the first step in living a healthy life. Okay. The number one thing, and it sounds childish, but it is super important. Never compare yourself to anyone. Never compare yourself to anyone. There are a lot of people around the world whose body metabolisms are different than yours. People burn fat faster than somebody else, or people lean more toward proteins and meats and not as much vegetables. You are different, okay, and you are unique. Never compare yourself. to anyone else. I said that earlier. You're an original. God created you an original, and that's where you have to come to a place of loving you, right? Love yourself. Love who you are, and remember that what you bring into your body, what you eat or drink, may not be the same reactions that somebody else's how they work. What one person uses that helps speed up their metabolism and burn fat may be something that make you feel bloated. And so we have to understand that there's big differences in how our lifestyles are. Culture makes a big difference. I know that the culture and the foods that are that people eat in Spain are not the culture here in Colorado. Big differences. And so we have to understand that where we live and the culture that we live in also play factors, right? There are foods that are more common to us in the places that we live in and where we're surrounded around than the places that we have to go and import those foods and bring them in. And those matter to our body as well, because we are in a different culture. It's a different climate. A lot of playing of figuring out what those foods are and how they make your body feel. I'd love to go into a maybe next time I come on is speak about how we eat with the seasons. So for us in Colorado, we sometimes get 4 seasons, but we get seasons where we go from summer and all of a sudden, within a month and a half, we're in winter, and we don't really get a fall. But to eat with the seasons, eating the harvests of the seasons helps our body to prepare and to embrace the weather that's taking place around us. It's really a phenomenal chemistry when you think about it. And I love how God really designed us that way, so that we are always taking in the right nutrients during the right season. It's fantastic. So number 1 was never compare yourself to anybody. Okay. The second one is number 2 is slow down. Start slow. It's not something, and this is where we see a lot of failures. People will jump on a wagon of a diet, and they'll work a diet for 3 weeks and they'll not get the results. And out of frustrations, they'll jump to another diet. Okay. They'll try something else. The body is a very intricate system that takes time to make adjustments. Sometimes we don't get our body won't get a result because it's absorbing what we've been lacking. When my wife and I first started this journey, she had almost passed away from COVID. And we got together and I said, this is not happening. I refuse to accept that some sickness is what causes people to die when God created us to be healed. And we went on this self-discovery journey together. We started doing some research, and we found out that one of the main things that we were both really deficient in, and this is something a lot of people are deficient in, is magnesium. And so when we started taking magnesium, there's different types, and we can go into that another day. There's many types of magnesium, but the specific type that we were lacking was the type of magnesium that helped us to have a little bit more calm approach to our day. We were working in fight or flight, and we were facing a lot of challenges, but we didn't realize that we were vitamin deficient. So start slow. It's not a race. Okay. Getting in tune with your body is important. I just want to remind you guys that. And it can take a bit. Let me encourage you, start off with a daily journal. Grab something that you can journal and keep track of the foods that you eat. Don't change anything about yourself right now, but write down how your body responds, right? How does it respond when you eat eggs as to eating avocado? How does your body respond? Or maybe you decide to go out and grab a bite. How does your body respond if you're eating that hamburger and French fries and a Coke? What does it feel like? Does it feel sluggish? Does it feel energized? And when you start taking those notes down, you'll quickly start to hone in on how your body's speaking to you, what it's telling you. We don't want this. Give me more of this. Sometimes, I don't know if you guys have ever done this, where you start craving. I really crave a good salad. That's because there's something that you're needing in that salad. So start slow, okay? And then start to try to incorporate more fruits and vegetables in your life. I'm not telling you to go extreme and go organic right off the bat, but experiment with fruits and vegetables. Find out what your body feels like. And the last thing I want to encourage you to do to start off is get moving. The last thing I have to tell you is move. I'm not telling you go to the gym and work out. I'm just simply saying move. Get out and go for a walk. Go play with your kids outside. Um, Start gardening. Do something that your body starts moving, because you'll quickly realize the more that your body moves, the less um, that stress level starts to drop. When we're always on this all day long and we're trying to follow up on what everybody's doing and what's happening in the world, it just raises stress levels. And so I've learned that social media to me is very restrictive. I'm on it for just a little bit, and then I'm researching or reading something, and that brings me peace. And so when you start these things, when you just start just these simple things, you're going to start noticing a big change in your body. And as we move forward with this, hopefully we can get back on and you can tell me, hey, this is fantastic. I'm already feeling a difference. I'm listening to my body. I can hear what's going on, and I'm ready to take the next step. And so I'm hoping that this small steps that will make big progress will be helpful for you all. And again, if there's anybody that has any questions, you're more than happy to reach out to me. I do have a Facebook Messenger that I can get onto and answer any questions that anybody has. Other than that, I just wanted to leave you guys with some positives, something that was doable and easy. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day.